Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with a thought-provoking topic: women are keeping other women single. On this first slide, you'll see the bold title that sets the tone for what's to come. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore some interesting insights and conversations around this idea. So let's get started and see what this is all about. Let's talk about how relationship advice has transformed in the digital age. Today, we see TikTok therapy, viral red flag checklists, and countless slay queen affirmations filling our feeds. It's become a form of entertainment that many people consume daily. But beneath all these empowering slogans and aesthetic videos, there's a troubling trend emerging. As content creator Courtney Ryan pointed out in her viral commentary, women, often unintentionally, are encouraging each other to leave good relationships. This shift is important because it highlights how social media influences perceptions of what healthy relationships look like. It ties into our overall theme of understanding the impact of online culture on personal choices and relationship dynamics. In this slide, I want to highlight a recent example that really ties into our overall theme of how digital culture influences our perceptions of love and relationships. There's a video titled "Women Are Keeping Other Women Single," where Ryan reacts to a TikTok claiming that social media wants you to leave your man. Now, what's interesting here is how this short clip opens up a larger conversation about the impact of social media on women's attitudes toward love, commitment, and partnership. What really stands out is the reflection that follows, a sobering look at how digital culture can sometimes encourage women to question or even dismiss traditional relationship ideals. And the key point is that this isn't just about individual choices. It's about how these platforms shape our collective mindset, often for the worse. As we continue, I want us to think about how these messages, whether intentional or not, influence not just personal decisions, but also broader societal norms around love and partnership. This example underscores the importance of understanding the digital environment when we discuss modern relationships and the challenges they face today. Have you ever noticed how social media seems to have a strange obsession with highlighting relationship failures? Well, a TikTok creator recently asked, "Is it just me, or does it feel like social media wants everybody's marriages to fail?" And honestly, she's not wrong. Platforms like TikTok, Reddit, and Facebook are filled with conversations that often blow minor relationship issues out of proportion, turning small disagreements into supposed deal breakers. For example, if a husband takes his kids to McDonald's, suddenly some people will call that disrespectful, toxic, or narcissistic. Strangers who don't know the full story jump to extreme conclusions, and these narratives spread quickly across online communities. Ryan points out that this pattern is becoming alarmingly common. What's concerning is that it's rarely the extreme cases of abuse or betrayal that trigger reactions. Instead, it's the small, everyday disagreements, things that are part of normal relationships, that are now viewed as major red flags. What used to be seen as healthy friction, normal disagreements and differences, are now treated as signs of danger. Online audiences, especially women, are often encouraged to leave their relationships at the first sign of imperfection. The advice might sound empowering, like "you can do better," or "find your single era," or "do settle." But Ryan argues that this mindset is leading many people toward dissatisfaction and loneliness. So, in essence, social media's portrayal of relationships is pushing us away from patience and understanding, and fueling a culture of constant comparison and dissatisfaction. Let's talk about the algorithm of unrealistic expectations. Social media does more than just encourage people to leave their relationships. It also sets an impossible standard for what a perfect relationship should look like. This creates what I call the invisible checklist. According to Ryan, there's this unspoken online checklist of what a good partner must do. If your partner isn't sending daily flowers, planning surprise vacations, or writing love notes, the internet can make you feel like he doesn't love you enough. But here's the thing: real love isn't cinematic. It's not about grand gestures or perfect moments all the time. When we constantly compare our relationships to curated highlight reels, many of us start feeling that our partners fall short. The problem is that real love is about consistency, effort, and those small, everyday gestures that often go unnoticed. If you're always searching for what's missing, instead of appreciating what you already have, satisfaction becomes elusive. Ryan's insight really highlights a growing psychological trend. While gratitude is declining, comparison is soaring. As more of us internalize social media's impossible standards, our tolerance for imperfection, both in ourselves and others, shrinks dramatically. So it's crucial to recognize this pattern and understand how it shapes our expectations and our happiness in relationships. When influence becomes insecurity, it's important to recognize that even we, who consider ourselves self-aware, can be affected by what we consume. I want to share a personal story. Early in my own relationship, I started listening to a popular dating podcast called Call Her Daddy. At first, I found it entertaining and lighthearted, but over time, I realized it was slowly eroding my trust. They often said things like, "All men cheat," or suggested going through a partner's phone while they're sleeping. Those kinds of messages planted seeds of doubt in my mind, doubts that weren't really there before. Before I knew it, I was questioning everything, even without a real reason. This really highlights a key point. Constant exposure to cynical or suspicious messages about relationships can distort our perception. It can create insecurities where none previously existed. The good news is, I recognized the toxicity of that content and made a conscious choice to cut it out of my routine. And I can honestly say, that decision brought me immediate peace. So, it's a reminder that we need to be mindful of what we're consuming, because influence, whether positive or negative, can have a powerful impact on our mindset and relationship health. One of the most striking insights from Ryan's video is the idea that misery loves company. You see, many of the loudest voices online urging women to leave their relationships actually come from people who are single, divorced, or really disillusioned. It's like they're projecting their own pain onto others. Ryan explains that this bitterness often gets turned into a kind of ideology. Instead of saying, "Hey, my experience was painful, but yours might be different," it becomes more like, "If my relationship failed, then yours should too." That's where the problem starts, when personal pain is turned into a universal rule. And what's interesting is that this isn't just a gender-specific thing. We see the same pattern in male-dominated spaces, where disillusioned men warn others that all women are manipulative or relationships aren't worth it. On both sides, pain transforms into a kind of dogma, and that dogma spreads much faster than nuance ever could. So overall, this slide highlights how pain, when unchecked, can turn into collective ideology, an idea that influences others and spreads quickly, often overshadowing more balanced perspectives. Let's talk about the danger of outsourcing intimacy. Ryan's warning is really clear. We need to be careful about inviting the internet into our relationships. Protecting intimacy means keeping private struggles just between you and your partner. It's about resisting the urge to overshare and not inviting strangers into your conflicts. When couples broadcast their private issues online, they give away emotional control to strangers who often lack the full context. As one expert said, the second you open that door, you hand them the power to influence how you feel about your partner. Marriage and partnership are meant to be handled privately. Turning those intimate moments into content for public consumption might seem tempting for quick validation, but it can seriously damage the long-term trust that holds a relationship together. Remember, safeguarding your emotional boundaries and managing conflicts privately helps maintain that foundation of trust and connection. So the key idea here is reclaiming control and perspective in our digital lives. Ryan suggests that the solution is both simple and powerful. Curate your digital diet. That means being intentional about what you choose to consume online. She emphasizes that you control what you consume, reminding us that we have the power to cut out voices or content that make us feel cynical, unhappy, or overwhelmed. It's about setting boundaries for ourselves and choosing content that nurtures, rather than drains, our emotional well-being. This leads us to the concept of emotional maturity. Recognizing when certain content makes us feel toxic, paranoid, or ungrateful is a crucial step. It's about being honest with ourselves and understanding how digital consumption impacts our mindset and relationships. Ryan's advice also ties into a broader truth. Social media isn't inherently evil, it's a tool. But it can amplify dissatisfaction or division if we're not careful. The same tools that connect us can also divide us, especially when we allow them to influence what we believe love and connection should look like. Ultimately, by curating our digital diets and practicing emotional maturity, we can regain control and maintain a healthier perspective in a digital world. All right, let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. The message behind women are keeping other women single is really about encouraging discernment and balance, not about being anti-feminist or anti-independence. It's a call to be thoughtful about the influences we let in and how we view our relationships. Ryan puts it simply, if you had a good man before you got on social media, he's probably still a good man. Don't let strangers convince you otherwise. It's easy to get caught up in online opinions, but remember, real relationships are built on trust and genuine connection, not on the glossy illusions we see on the internet. Relationships aren't meant to mirror those perfect, curated images we see online. They're real, imperfect, requiring patience, and grounded in gratitude. That's where true fulfillment comes from. And if you're ever tempted to label someone as toxic, maybe pause and ask yourself, who told me that, and why did I believe them? Sometimes, the labels we accept aren't based on truth, but on external influences or misjudgments. So, in the end, it's about staying true to what's real and not being swayed by superficial images or opinions. Building healthy, authentic relationships requires discernment, patience, and a little bit of trust in ourselves and those who genuinely care for us.